Take your dealership to the next level with over 6,800 on-air interviews with dealer and industry leaders. CBT News, dealers' most trusted source for news, content, and analysis. Welcome to CBT News with Cheyenne Malone.
Good Monday morning to you. I'm Cheyenne Malone. Thanks for watching CBT News. Let's get started.
Just 3 years after automakers committed to phasing out combustion engine vehicles at the 2021 UN Climate Change Conference, the transition to electric vehicles has hit obstacles, leading to strategic pivots. General Motors and Cadillac, once staunch EV proponents, now foresees hybrids coexisting with EVs beyond 2030, adjusting production targets and delaying EV model releases. Ford has postponed EV launches and shifted production focus back to combustion engines, aiming for hybrid versions of all models by 2030. Volvo and Volkswagen are also re-emphasizing hybrids due to delay in new tariffs, while Porsche and Mercedes-Benz temper their EV sales targets, linking them to market conditions and consumer demand. Aston Martin, Renault, JLR, and Bentley have similarly adjusted their electrification timelines, citing slower than expected market transitions and technical challenges. Despite these changes, the industry still considers electric vehicles as the future, albeit with a more gradual and cautious approach. Two U.S. Senators, Ron Wyden of Oregon and Edward Markey of Massachusetts, have urged the Federal Trade Commission to investigate automakers, including General Motors, Hyundai, and Honda, for allegedly selling drivers' data to brokers. The senators claim these automakers use deceptive tactics to get customers to agree to data disclosures, which was then sold to insurance companies by brokers like Verisk Analytics. According to the senators, some automakers misled consumers by promoting data sharing to reduce insurance costs without disclosing that it could result in higher premiums. In response, GM, Hyundai, and Honda stated that data sharing required explicit customer consent, and Verisk defended its data practices. The senators have called on the FTC to hold these companies accountable if they are found to have violated the law. Nissan has cut production at its primary Japanese plant by a third, including halving output of the Rogue crossover due to weak U.S. demand for its aging lineup. The automaker reported a near total profit wipeout from April to June and reduced its full-year outlook after offering deep discounts in the U.S. Unlike rivals Toyota and Honda, Nissan lacks hybrid models in the U.S., missing out on rising hybrid demand amid cooling enthusiasm for EVs. The Kyushu plant will now produce just under 25,000 vehicles this month, with only 10,000 Rogues planned, while U.S. inventory of 2023 Rogues has built up, necessitating aggressive incentives. CEO Makoto Ushida noted plans to bolster the North American lineup with plug-in hybrids, but specific timing was not provided. With inventory at a 4-year high and market sharing shrinking in China, Nissan faces increasing challenges in its two largest markets. According to the Nikkei newspaper, Japan's Mitsubishi Motors is set to join a strategic alliance with Honda and Nissan, forming a tie-up among automakers with combined sales exceeding 8 million vehicles. This move follows Nissan's struggles in the US and China markets, leading to a reduced annual outlook after significant discounting. The alliance aims to reduce costs and enhance competitiveness against EV giants like China's BYD and Tesla. This partnership is seen as an extension of Mitsubishi's existing alliance with Nissan and Renault, which was restructured last year to be more agile. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back with Michael Wood, the general manager of Jaguar, Land Rover, and Volkswagen divisions at Checkered Flag Auto Group, to provide his perspective on the industry.
Take your dealership to the next level with over 6,800 on-air interviews with dealer and industry leaders. CBT News, dealers' most trusted source for news, content, and analysis.
There was an article that I read recently that said that less than 5% of sales associates in new car showrooms today drive EVs. And you could understand that, right? I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's a problem, because that's really a huge disconnect. Those consumers are coming in to your showrooms and others to say, tell me about an EV. And if that salesperson is not prepared to talk about an EV and enthused about it, then you've got a huge disconnect that's going to cost you in the way of EV sales, right? In fact, a number of people that I've spoken to said they went shopping for an EV, and it was the salesperson that actually turned them around and put them either in a plug-in hybrid or in a ICE vehicle.
So I think you're talking about two different problems there, in my opinion. The first problem is just understanding the vehicle, right? So I agree completely. We actually moved our entire loaner fleet at the Volkswagen store to a full ID4 lineup. And I did it for a multitude of reasons. One, I wanted to give my clients that have traditionally driven ICE vehicles a risk-free opportunity to drive an EV vehicle.
Great idea.
But before we did that, though, I accepted exactly what you just said. So we took our lineup. I went to my executive team. They're a great group. And I said, hey, listen, I would really like to take these vehicles and give them to every single person in the staff and rotate them through. And we required them to drive those vehicles for about a week at a time. There was a caveat to that. They were not allowed to charge at the dealership. They had to charge just like the clients would have to charge, and they'd have to figure it out. And by doing so, we really bridged that gap for them understanding. And especially on the service side, the advisors were able to speak to the client, because candidly, when I drove mine for the week, it took me 3 days to figure out how to turn the radio on. If I was a customer, that would have annoyed the heck out of me.
Yeah, of course.
So we wanted to make sure that we obviously didn't impact our wonderful CSI scores. And we wanted to make sure that we were giving them truly a fun experience in driving these vehicles.
Well, that does it for us for today. But remember, it is easy to stay up to date with the most recent news and trends influencing the retail automotive industry. All you have to do is follow us. We're on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm Cheyenne Malone. You have a good one.
CBT News, your #1 resource for auto industry news and content.